Over the last 6 years, PeerBerry has become not just one of the biggest, but also one of the best peer-to-peer platforms in Europe. My personal confidence in the marketplace grew heavily in the past years, which is why my commitment on PeerBerry went to above 26,000 euros with a total return of 12.86%. In this video, I will cover what it is exactly that makes PeerBerry such a strong platform for many investors, how I look at the lack of regulation, and whether or not I plan to expand my investment on PeerBerry even further. If there could only be one single reason for the success of PeerBerry, then in my view it would be the successful crisis management with all the associated factors. What many investors might have forgotten already due to the war in Ukraine is that PeerBerry has already proven how to handle adversity with the outbreak of the pandemic in 2020. Within a few months, PeerBerry issued only half as many loans and the portfolio under management decreased by 30%, which in turn never caused any liquidity problems or potential withdrawal issues. Although the moratoria in certain countries would have provided a good excuse to react differently, PeerBerry and its partners have always respected the terms of use and paid out investors in time. The smooth and honest handling of the coronavirus pandemic has been one of the main drivers why PeerBerry has gained significant popularity since summer 2020 and was therefore able to increase its portfolio to up to 85 million euros by the end of 2021, which is an approximate five-fold increase in 1.5 years. Although it was not foreseeable at the time that PeerBerry would be hit much harder by the war in Ukraine, in hindsight also this incident didn't break the platform either. However, we have to look at the dimensions back then in order to understand what PeerBerry and its partners have actually achieved in the last 1.5 years. With the start of the war in Ukraine, 15 million euros in loans have been affected, which accounted for more than half of the outstanding portfolio at the time. 18 months later, PeerBerry partners have already repaid 91% of all war-affected loans, and if GoFingo was in a slightly better financial position, the issue could have even been resolved completely by now. The fact that the crisis management at PeerBerry worked so well is of course due to several factors. One of the main reasons is obviously the cooperation with the Aventus Group, whose financial strength shouldered the majority of the war-affected repayments. While smaller repayment amounts on other platforms will continue for at least several years, Aventus was able to utilize the profits from other markets and use them for the repayments. The accusations that investors can read from time to time that Aventus is not a real group in the legal sense and that the advertised group or corporate guarantee is therefore not subject to any obligation is in my view only a theoretical discussion, as Aventus has proven with its repayment behavior over the last 3 years that actions speak way louder than the interpretation of certain word formulations. Another aspect that plays a significant role in the successful crisis management is transparency and communication. While investors on a regulated platform such as ViaInvest or big players with banking license ambitions such as Bondora are still puzzling over how large the managed investor portfolio actually is, this information can be found easily in the statistics at PeerBerry. Although displaying those figures can make a platform quite vulnerable, at least investors get a very good picture about how the platform is actually performing. PeerBerry and its partner Aventus made it clear from the very beginning that the situation wasn't an easy one. However, with regular updates and even a dedicated monitoring committee, PeerBerry tried to ensure that investors are informed about progress or potential difficulties at all times. The fact that transparency is not a real problem for PeerBerry was also emphasized by my recent transparency rating a few weeks ago, where the platform ended up on a second place, only behind Heavy Finance. One of the few areas for improvement at PeerBerry is still the lack of regulation. After some back and forth with the Latvian regulator, with whom the company has always had a chilly relationship, the decision was made in September 2021 to not seek a license as an investment brokerage firm, but to take on a Croatian jurisdiction instead. The main reasons for this decision at the time included the additional costs and resources, more compliance, and in general, more restrictions for further business development. Personally, I believe that PeerBerry's motivations and motives are quite understandable, but regardless, it would be a positive sign if the platform were to seek any kind of official licensing in the future, although there is currently no actual sign that this will happen anytime soon. Another aspect to consider is the increasing demand on PeerBerry, which recently resulted in a cash drag situation for many investors, as well as to a reduction of interest rates. Although our opinion leaders believe that an increase of interest rates by the European Central Bank should automatically lead to an increase of interest rates on peer-to-peer platforms as well, from the lender's point of view, it is only logical and economically understandable to reduce the cost of funding if the demand exceeds the available loan supply. Leaving a reliable platform such as PeerBerry only because the interest rates are currently decreasing is, in my view, a too short-sighted look for long-term and more risk-cautious investors. On the other hand, I can relate if investors are troubled with the ongoing cash drag situations, which forces many of them to spend some time to invest in loans manually. As PeerBerry announced recently, Aventus will no longer be listing any Polish loans on PeerBerry starting from 2024 due to the tightening regulations in Poland. On top, Aventus aims at repaying all outstanding Polish loans by the end of this year. Although the platform aims to close the supply gap by entering in new markets such as Mexico, Colombia or South Africa, the cash drag troubles might continue for the foreseeable future. As you can see, it is quite difficult at the time being to find a quick and easy way to benefit from all the advantages that PeerBerry has to offer, although I also believe that this is somehow the price that investors nowadays have to pay in order to be invested on one of Europe's top peer-to-peer platforms. Personally, I will definitely continue to expand my investment on PeerBerry bit by bit and even increase my position if the interest rates should become slightly lower in the future. What is your take on PeerBerry? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and please consider subscribing to this channel if you want to see more videos like this in the future.